Hello again, everybody. This is Mr. Everything coming at you with another Mr. Everything Talks About Robotech RPG Tactics. Well, in this video, we're not really going to be, well, we'll talk a little bit about Robotech RPG Tactics, but the main thing that I wanted to talk about is just Robotech, the Robotech cartoon anime series, movies, and things like that you can see out there. Now there's quite a few of them. I probably am not going to be able to list them all. Let's just talk about Robotech in general, right? This gives you a little history about Robotech and why I'm so excited about the miniature game that's coming out in December. Okay, when the miniature game comes out in December, it is the Macross Saga, okay, or Saga. It has basically the first television series. And they also call that the first Robotech War. That is when the Zentradi attacked Earth. Initially they weren't really attacking Earth. Initially they were just coming to Earth to get the SDF-1, which is the Zor's battleship, which crashes on Earth 10 years previously. Okay, so it crashes, and then Earth goes and checks out what this big huge spaceship is that crashed on their planet, right? And they go in and investigate, and they find all these new technological advances. And then they realize that the aliens must be like 40 or 50 foot tall to be able to operate this huge ship. So they realized that they needed their conventional weapons aren't going to be able to deal with 40 foot tall aliens. So they started creating destroids, or walking mecha, right? And then they also created fighters for space combat that could also convert to a ground combat unit. Those are the Veritech fighters. And in doing so, they created this, and then 10 years later is when the Zentradi attack, and that's the topic of the RPG Tactics, the miniatures game. Okay, great. But in the videos, let's talk about the videos. You watch all the Macross original series, Series 1, Macross Robotech series, SDF-1, Super Dimensional Fortress. You can see, what's another one? Do You Remember Love? All those are, Do You Remember Love it seems to be like a remake with a slight story change to get it to fit into the future movies, but it's still an excellent movie, and it cuts some stuff out and keeps some stuff. And okay, all right, and you have a couple of other series. You have like the Southern Cross, you have the Masters series, and then you have what's that last series called? Or what's that other series called? It's the one with Lancer in it. I don't know if that's the Masters. Southern Cross. It has the Invid invasion in it. It's after the Invid invasion. I can't remember. And then there's some additional like transition movies where they have basically there's an extensive library of Robotech to draw upon. You have, okay, and then recently, ever since CGI became a really big popular thing, there's been some CGI enhanced movies like, there's the Shadow Chronicles, there's also Macross Zero, Macross 7, Macross Frontier. Okay, now let's talk about those I just mentioned. Palladium, their current role-playing game for Robotech, the cover is the Shadow Chronicles. It says Robotech the Shadow Chronicles. You know what? The Shadow Chronicles is only an hour and a half of the entire compilation of Robotech. You have, I don't know, 100 hours or something of Robotech? Maybe, no, you got a lot more than that. You probably have like 1,000 hours of Robotech. And they're going to name their game after a 1.5 hour movie that is really just in and out, and hardly, it's really kind of, in my opinion, kind of a dry story. I mean, it doesn't even finish really. You know, it leaves you doubt on where Rick Hunter is and has he really been saved or not. You know, it's one of these stories. You know, so I'm like, whatever. Okay, but let's talk about some side stories that don't involve the main Earth storyline. You have some in the meantime, like after the Zentradi invasion and after the Earth was destroyed, apparently we created some Ark ships and we sent them out into space. Now, why would we do this? I don't get it. I understand making Ark ships maybe to live on if the Earth is unlivable. And I also understand sending out scout ships to find other colonizable planets. But you're not going to send out people in these Ark ships to other other galaxies, not galaxies, other star systems or whatever until you've actually had a chance to scout them out. So I'm kind of like, yeah, whatever. It's an Ark ship, but who knows what they're thinking? And maybe the Zentradi have told them where they needed to go, and it's just taking them so long to get there. I'm not sure. Some of them have numbers like Macross 7. That's the 7th Ark ship, basically. And then there's that's not what it's really supposed to be, but you can kind of get that's what it is. And then there's Macross Frontier. Frontier is the name of the ship pulling that Ark, so a different Ark. So they call that Macross Frontier. The story around that Ark ship is that, and then the story about Macross 7 is this story. It gets a little confusing. Okay. But when we're talking about graphics and storyline and just great old anime, I think Macross Frontier pretty much kicks butt, man. It's awesome. It's digital, but it's also animated, and the music's good. The story is plausible. It's why it's happening is pretty cool. The way they break into the Ark and they fight and all that. The way the Ark fixes itself, it's all really cool. I like Frontier. Now Macross 7. Okay, I see so many people say, "Oh, Macross 7 is so good," but I think those are teeny boppers that say Macross 7 is awesome. If you're prepubescent, you'll like Macross 7. Macross 7, what it is you have a group of guys, Skull Squadron, I think. Which no, they're not called Skull Squadron. They're called MTM or ZMZ or something like that, where they have this crazy looking symbol. ZMZ or something like that. It looks like SS to me. Okay, but they go into they fight, and they have this band that because they know that in the Macross in the first series, Lin Minmay defeated a lot of aliens because they weren't used to culture or interaction with just people and men and women being together and music. They didn't have it. So when Minmay was singing in the first series, it really just threw everybody for a loop and confused the aliens, and it gave us enough time to win. Well, so what they've done is they've taken it to the extreme, and they've made the cockpits so big that the pilots can carry guitars or have whole drum sets inside their cockpit, and they go out into space and they're fighting at the same time they're playing their drums. No, not realistic. Cannot ever happen. Well, you know what we would do if we thought that would work? We would just record something and just play it. You know, we wouldn't have guys out there actually singing on a guitar while they're trying to dogfight. You know, no, I guess they're not singing on a guitar. They're playing guitar while singing. But still, it's stupid. Macross 7 is it's ridiculous. And there's so many videos, so many episodes of that. It was so popular. I don't understand it. You know, the Macross Frontier was awesome. Macross Zero was also awesome if you're a fan junkie like I am. I know this video is gone forever. I'm a fan junkie. Macross Zero. It's like a step back in time, and it explores what actually happened right after the SDF-1 crashes, And Roy Fokker, he's still in the military. They've just started developing this new Veritech fighter, and there's the Earth is still kind of at war with other factions that are trying to get the technology, and we haven't really unified. We've unified, but there's still these loose factions. And then it goes to this planet, and it throws a little bit of mysticism off and everything. But it's trying to give you an idea of why certain things happen in future videos, so you can kind of get an idea. But out of all of them, I think the very first Macross was probably the best. It was Robotech, the introduction, the Macross series, the War Against Zentradi, and that's what the miniature game is going to be about. Second one would be Frontier, just because the animation is just too awesome. All right, well, thanks for coming out and checking out this video, and you guys have fun.